Developing a user interface is more than just simply functional code. We have a visual element to it. And so looking at the assignment description, we have a lot of pieces we're going to do here, but we need to start with just creating this display. And you get points here for planning out that display. Now, eventually you'll be really good at it. You won't need to do all this planning out, but let's take a look at it. If we look at your project where the code is, there's going to be these Word documents, the ECheck plan. Now, you can use whatever tool you want to edit it. A Word doc's just a convenient way of sharing it, but it's going to be submitted as a PDF to Gradescope to its own submission area. So I have that open here. So the first thing we want to do is plan out where does the components on our display end up, for the final display. Now, your plan might not be the way you inevitably do it. Do the plan first, because then it'll actually help you understand better how to plan as you understand what you did wrong. You can do this a number of different ways. You might be able to do this in Word itself by inserting pictures, and this is just a really not excuse me shapes. This is probably a slow way to go about it, but certainly you can do it this way. Um, I'm I'm actually going to take this over to Paint, but you can, as I said, you can certainly do it this way. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this picture, and since I'm on a Windows machine, I'm going to open up Paint. Oops, I'm hitting my Windows key and it's not doing anything. It's all right. Just having a little fun there with my Windows key not doing. All right, then I'm going to paste in. So let me come back here. So I copied my picture. I'm going to paste that into Paint, and then I can come to here. All right, again, either way you want to do it, it's entirely up to you. If you have a different way you want to edit it, that's fine as well. But here I'm just going to take the line. It's the same difference. I'm going to do orange this time. So then I'm going to draw a line here, right? Okay, I don't like that line because it's not even, but I'm going to draw a line right here, right? Now, what's this mean? Well, the most common layout of a user interface in Python is a grid. It's common across a lot of them, but it's a grid. And so a grid, we want to look at one row at a time. Now, this item here, you can see it's actually 3 items, and then there's 1. So I could do row, 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 and then have these be in the middle row, but that's a little bit overkill because we can actually put all of this data in one label and put new lines between it, and it shows up just like this. So I'm going to take a little bit of a cheat and do this as one because it's just all static data that's given to you by, you'll know whose account it is when you start to write a check, right? So then I'm going to put another row in here, and I'm going to put another row in here, and another row in here. So it's not rocket science at this level. There can be some nuance though. You might say like, okay, well, I'm going to put, instead of having these 2 rows that you see, I'm going to put authorized signature as part of, this is going to be all one component. The label authorized signature is the signature that's going to go in this one, but it's up to you. But I'm going to do this one a little bit simple. I just want to show you kind of the capabilities of the grid as well. So then I got to figure out columns. So if I put a column level here, which is what I'm going to do inevitably, it puts this in a first column. Well, this is blank, so that doesn't really matter. This is going to be in a first column. I'm kind of splitting over that 0 and the memo here, but I'm actually okay with that for now. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one here, right? And I'm going to put another column, I think, right in here. And this might not be the way you do it. You might do it slightly differently, but you can do it this way. So why did we do this? Well, the big reason I want to do this above everything else is this becomes row 0, row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, and row 6. And this becomes, I'll do red for column 0, column 1, column 2. So when I want to go place things on my display, my person's name, address, everything else is going to go up in 00. My bank name is going to go in 01. Check number 02. Then I can skip these 2 and put this one out here in 12 for the date. Now we have 2 items that's going to go in here. which we can do. We can actually do that, fairly easily. And then we're going to kind of paste them across. Now, notice here, dollars and 00 cents, dollars. This actually spans all the way across. Well, we can actually create a component that spans multiple columns. It's also possible to create something that spans multiple rows. But essentially, what's going to happen is, I'll do blue box on this one. I'm going to create something that goes all the way through all here. And we'll come back to that later on, but you can draw it in or not. It's, if you know to draw this in, you know that's a plan, you can draw it in, whatever helps you. But I just want to see some breakdown of at least rows and columns in this picture. All right, so when you're done, this is paint, so I'm going to just do a select, and I'm going to pick all this. I'm going to Control C, copy this. I'm going to come back to my picture here. Oops, yeah. I'm actually just going to delete everything in that column, and I'm going to paste this in. It's a little bit small, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just to make sure it's big. But there you go. I've done the first part. All right. So now the next part of this planning is I need to work out what goes in here. And actually I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger just to, so I can really see it well. So up here, I'm going to give it some name and some description, some type. There's a lot of different ways this can be done. I don't remember how I did it the first time I put this together, so maybe I've done it differently across different videos. But this is going to be the user address, right? User contact, we'll call it contact. And this is going to be a label, right? Just to kind of remind myself, I'm doing a 3-line label inside of there. And then I'm going to have the bank name, which is a label. And maybe I did these backwards in the other one. I have a label. It doesn't even matter as long as the data's all here. And so then there's going to have the check number, which is a label. And then I'm going to have the date, which is going to be a label and text field in a frame. So I'm going to put 2 of them together, right? I'm planning it out. And so I actually, now I've drawn over this so much, I don't remember the original picture. Let me come back to the original picture. Oh yeah, so there is 2 items inside of here. And so I hopefully you get the idea of this, where this approach goes. Okay, so I'm done with paint, so you go away, and then come back here. Yes, there. So I can work my way through the rest of it. Pay to. Well, that's actually the same as this one. So it's pay amount. All right, we got that one. So then we have a text amount, which is going to be a label spread across 3 columns. All right, again, this is the thing where when you're experienced, this will all be obvious in your head. You won't need to necessarily plan it out, but it might be useful for you to plan it out now, because by the time you get to coding that label, you may totally have forgot what your plan was, right? So it's okay to write down a little extra for now. Memo, signature, text field, signature, label. Yeah, right. And send button. All right, so that's the first cut. We're defining what the pieces are, what they mean in the business sense, and then how I'm going to implement them in some sort of Python field, and maybe a little formatting. Like, we need to probably, there's actually one of these we might not have to put, like pay to the order of, we might be able to not split it in a label and frame. So you might want to think about this in a little bit more detail. But the point of this exercise is just to see, did you plan it out? Did you think it through? You can turn this in at any point. You can never do the code and turn this in and get 10, 15 points for the different variables, different assignments. So give it a shot and put this together. So at this point, I'm going to save this. I'm going to print this as a PDF, and then I'm going to upload this to Gradescope. And there's a specific box for the Gradescope for the plan that's distinct from The other one, so let me actually just pull up an example of one of those. Um, Sorry, I don't want to show you all the student information and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to find that. All right, ECheck